what's going on, guys? Day 2 is done. Day 2 is completed at Blizzcon. And what have we got to talk about? Well, few things first, guys. Few things first. Chris Metzen, the big creative guy behind World of Warcraft, of his impassionate speech on day 1, was right about one thing. War is coming. We need to talk about this first. And war is already here, unfortunately. The community is divided. The community is absolutely divided, absolute uproar amongst everybody playing World of Warcraft at the moment. Various opinions from the high-end raiders down to the guys who are still getting into the game, and the guys who've been playing for a long time, who are the more casual players who look forward to the story and enjoying that kind of aspect. It's madness, guys. I cannot believe the outrage that has gone on from this among absolutely everyone. Conversation is flying everywhere about whether or not they will be playing Mists of Pandaria or not. And this is absolutely... I did not expect this uproar, although I did not expect this level of uproar. As I said yesterday in my recap, Blizzard knew there was going to be a mixed, if not negative, reaction towards the Mists of Pandaria. They knew that. That's why we spoke yesterday about their business model of saying, look, guys, we're expecting some bad press on this one. We're expecting you guys to be a little bit, I don't know if I want to play this one. This doesn't sound that good. So they said, look, buy WoW for 12 months. We're going to give you Diablo 3 free. We want you to check it out, okay? Because they knew this was going to happen. They had this very obvious idea that there was going to be a war. Did they expect the kind of war that I've seen so far? I don't think so. It has been a very, very negative and pro. It's a civil war, pretty much, is breaking out amongst everybody on the left and right side. One, yes, I'm definitely going to play it, and I like this kind of stuff. And the other guy's saying, what the fuck, man? No, I'm not going to play it. It just sounds garbage. So let's talk about that just a little bit more, because even on my first video of the BlizzCon Day 1 recap, there was already like sort of 3-4 pages of comments, all arguing about pandas in general. Okay, let's break it down for you. Is there anything particularly wrong with the pandas and the whole Chinese aspects? Absolutely not. There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. That's fine. The problem is this. This is how I see it. This is, for me, personal opinion, this is the problem, and this is why I expected it and why Blizzard also expected this negative sort of reaction. Pandas and the focus that they've given us for Mists of Pandaria, not necessarily the pandas, we have to talk about the pandas definitely, but the focus they've given to Mists of Pandaria of what we should be expecting is nowhere near as cool as the last 3 expansions. It is nowhere near as cool as the Burning Crusade with Illidan. It is nowhere near as cool as Wrath of the Lich King with Arthas, and it is certainly not as cool as Deathwing sundering the entire world in half. We have just not had that kind of inspiring, can't wait to do it aspect come up with Mists of Pandaria. But this is what they said in comparison, where last time it was, oh yeah, baby, Illidan is waiting for you. He's got his Warglaves, he's united Kael'thas, he's united Lady Vash. You're going to see all these big core characters that are from the back history of World of Warcraft that have been in there for so long. Since Warcraft began, these characters have been in there. We're not having that now. Now, one thing we do need to bear in mind is we would have had pandas a long time ago. Like anybody who knows any history of World of Warcraft, the actual game and its design and implementations will know that pandas were on the books for a very, very long time, especially Pandaria. Pandaria has been a part of the lore for a long time. They haven't just made this up. This isn't something new they've decided to add. Pandaria has been a part of the lore for quite a long time. The reason that it would never came in the past, because they wanted to do it in the past, guys, is that China, a big market they wanted to get involved with, has very, very strict rules on especially the death of pandas, even in a virtual sense, because of their endangered sort of nature of the pandas. So they couldn't implement it into, it would definitely hold them back in getting into China. They've now managed to break into China a little bit, and World of Warcraft is coming to China, and now they're bringing in the pandas. So we hope some sort of resolution has happened there. But that is why we haven't seen pandas before. So now they've managed to do that, we're going to see Pandaria. Okay, this has been on the books for a long time, guys. It's been in their business model for a very, very long time to bring the pandas in. That is not necessarily the problem. The problem is that Mists of Pandaria just does not sound as cool as everything else. And what is the most important about playing a game? It's got to be cool. It's got to be cool. It's got to be exciting. And saying, okay, it's Mists of Pandaria. Here's the new race. It's pandas. Okay, some people are happy that the pandas are there. Nobody's forcing anybody to play a panda by any means. So if you don't like pandas, it's no different than you not liking gnomes, not liking trolls, not liking orcs. It makes no difference whatsoever. There's also, there's 5 other races for each side that you can pick from, and one of them you will like. That is just the bare bones of it. Sure, the pandas do appeal to sort of, in general, a younger audience or a more female audience, but they certainly appeal to some characters, especially people who enjoy the cutesy, cuddly side of things. Even a lot of men enjoy that kind of stuff because they find it funny. Quite frankly, some people find it hilarious that there'll be a panda doing ninjutsu or whatever to do their characters. They find it fucking funny, and fair play to them. That's no issue. So yeah, pandas do appeal to some people, but don't appeal to others. That isn't the problem. That is not the problem with what we're talking about with Mists of Pandaria. That is not the issue at all. The issue is this expansion just does not, on paper, sound as cool because it's so heavily focused towards the pandas. On the face of it, what we do are the positive sides of it. So that is the negatives. That is why people are just not happy. It just does not. If someone says to him, "Oh yeah, the next expansion is about pandas," that just does not sound as cool. What we need to look at as a gamer, and especially people who've been playing World of Warcraft for a long time, is the other positives that are coming. The full talent revamp, where we're finally going to have to pick fun talents for our characters. That is fantastic. That is absolutely amazing. I spoke about that at length yesterday, so go check that if you're not into it. Also, the reworking of a lot of classes. Warlocks getting various new abilities per spec instead of having a standard basic soul shard system. They're going to get all sorts of new things. Shamans not having to do buff totems. All these kind of changes that are happening. Each class getting its own each class and spec, should I say, is also getting its own sort of resource system revamp, and just this general coolness about how the game will play. The other thing that's lacking, the other negative, is that we don't know what the end game is going to be focused on. What is level 85 going to be focused on? Yes, we've seen there's going to be all sorts of little guild challenges and the Pokemon side of things. That's fine. But those aren't things that you can work towards consistently in a game. You're either working towards sort of a PvP or a PvE area. And generally, Blizzard has focused heavily on what the end game PvE is going to be, with the Black Temple, with Tempest Keep, with, all this kind of stuff. This is the stuff we work towards, and we know at the end of it we're going to be fighting now. We're going to be fighting Deathwing. We're going to be going to the Ice Crown Citadel. As soon as you hear Ice Crown Citadel, you know it's going to be cool. You just know it's going to be cool before we saw it. And the first time you flew past Ice Crown Citadel, you thought, Jesus, Lord of the Rings just shit its pants. No way Gandalf's going to go in there and rock that place. So that is the problem. We haven't got this focus. They've said, yeah, there's some new raid dungeons, but we haven't really heard much about them other than they're basically an instance for 25 people, which is fine. But we've talked a little bit, or Blizzard brought up very, very briefly, that the focus of the end game is going to be Horde and Alliance. But I haven't expanded on that, so we don't know what that is. I mean, is it worth Blizzard's... Blizzard obviously thought heavily enough about it to not say it's World of Warcraft, Horde versus Alliance, or the Civil War, or the Ultimate War, the Final, the Great War, something along that would have been better, I think. But because the new expansion is Mists of Pandaria, and the new zone is Pandaria, that's the focus they've gone with it, and they know it's just not going to sound as cool. If it would have been, I'm sure we would have none of this outrage if it was called World of Warcraft, the Great War. That would have been so much better, wouldn't it? Because he said, yeah, there's a new race is Pandas and the new zone is Pandaria, but it's all about this big fucking war, guys. That's what it's all about. The game is called World of Warcraft, the Great War. This is just off the top of my head. That would have sounded cooler, and then it would have put less emphasis on the pandas. But as we've seen, it's full focus on the pandas, and that has divided the community in a way that I haven't seen for a very, very long time. There's always going to be hate. There was hate every single expansion. There's hate every single day about any single changes Blizzard makes. So they were definitely expecting this feedback. That's why we have the Diablo 3 annual pass deal, to make sure people play it and check it out because they think it's going to be a good game. Of course they think that. They wouldn't have made it if they didn't think it was going to be a good game. Blizzard aren't stupid. Let's look at their three top games. World of Warcraft has been playing for 7 years and crushed every other MMO that has ever even tried to break into their market. They have crushed. Not just beaten, crushed. Half of these MMOs went free to play very, very quickly. You look at Lord of the Rings Online, you look at Conan, you look at all these games, Rift, all trying to compete to be in this sort of World of Warcraft market, just to grab even a slice of World of Warcraft's market, and have been absolutely smashed and crushed. We then look at Starcraft 2. Starcraft 2, everyone was expecting it's never going to be as good as Starcraft. It's never going to take on that responsibility that Starcraft had to uphold to. Starcraft Legacy has been going for 11, 12 years, and is the number one esport in Korea. And Korea is the esport capital of the world. And StarCraft 2 has done that. It has managed to pull those people off StarCraft, even just from a perspective, an observing point of view, of looking at these guys playing and seeing what exactly is he looking at. And with the graphical updates, it's much more easy to get involved with compared to the original StarCraft. Even better than that, they have managed to maintain some sort of balance. I know we see that the very, very high-end players sometimes complain, but they are all slowly moving over to StarCraft 2. It is the future, and it's managed to uphold that legacy. If Blizzard hadn't done that, if StarCraft 2 was just an average RTS game, we would not have seen that, and StarCraft 2 has done that. And then we've got Diablo, with millions upon millions of people biting and chomping at the bit to play Diablo 3. Okay, so they've got these three main games. So they put so much focus into it, and they believe Mr. Pandaria is going to be great. So we have to sit on the fence at the minute, guys. There is no point. We don't know enough. This is my main point. We do not know enough about how the end game of Mr. Pandaria is going to play out. And perhaps that is a mistake from Blizzard not to say, There's Mists of Pandaria, that's the new zone, yeah, great. Look at what we're going to be focusing on in Mists of Pandaria, which is this Alliance Horde War. That's what we want to know about. We want to know if that is going to be cool. We don't know that yet. So we're hoping to get some information on that, guys, but that is where the war has come from. That's fine. So moving on to BlizzCon Day 2, nothing spectacular was revealed at BlizzCon Day 2. That is to be expected. All the big announcements came on BlizzCon Day 1. Perhaps we can expect a little something on BlizzCon Day 3. That is tomorrow. But we'll see. So what did we have yesterday? We had the lore open Q&A, the panel where you could ask all your lore questions. Nothing amazing came out of that. A little bit that they're going to focus heavily on Varian Rin, should I say. But we have Thrall has been set up. He had a lot of focus towards the end of Cataclysm. He's got that huge quest line that rewards the Epic Cloak about him getting married and exercising his own demons. It was very Horde focused. Thrall is now up there as one of the major characters. Even if you Horde or Alliance, a lot of people respect Thrall as a character. He's tried to bring them together personally. And as we know, Varian Rin has been sort of left in the shadows this expansion. We haven't heard much of him whatsoever. So Blizzard has said, look, no, there's going to be a heavy focus on Varian Rin to bring him up to that level of Thrall. You might even play alongside him in some respects as his squire. Squire, lovely word. But that's what Blizzard said. They're going to bring Varian Rin up to there. So Alliance has this figurehead as Horde has had for so long. We've always looked towards Thrall. If you're playing Horde, as he's our king. We knew that from the start, I think. You know, it doesn't matter if you're into lore or not. If you're into any of that aspect, anybody who's playing Horde knows that Thrall is the balls. He's the man baller. He's the fucking big chief. Alliance didn't really have that. We had the Child King for a long, long time. Nixia replacing him. Then he sort of came back in... Wrath of the Lich King as a grown man, and he was a bit of an arsehole. You know, he was always kicking off and starting fights, but maybe the Alliance needs that. They need someone who's going to stir the pot. If you look at Garrosh Hellscream and any of the quests alongside with Garrosh, such as invading the Twilight Highlands, when you go there, he's very, very angry. He's very 300 Spartan style, and the Alliance needs that. They need Varian to sort of step up and take the plate, especially if there's going to be an Alliance Horde war. So quite looking forward to see what they do with him. If they can give the Alliance that figurehead, maybe that'll help towards steering us in the right direction. I'm not talking from a roleplay perspective, guys. I'm talking about if we're going to have an endgame focus in Mists of Pandaria that is focused on the Alliance versus Horde war, we need an Alliance figurehead similar to Thrall. Thrall and Garrosh, what a scary team, to lead us into that and make it more interesting, because it's no point having these NPCs turn up and you don't know who they are. Oh, Varian Rin's here. Well, I don't really care. Varian hasn't done anything particularly special, but Thrall, we know he's done all this sort of stuff. We had to defeat demons to release Thrall, blah, 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 blah. So we're hoping that's going to be really good. Other stuff, these other NPCs they're going to involve, blah, blah, blah. There's nothing special there. If you're really into your lore stuff, I suggest you go and read the Q&A transcript. I think MMO Champion's got that up there. So if you go to mmo-champion.com, they will give you the full breakdown of all that kind of stuff. It's a lot of people just saying, you have to be very careful on these Q&As, because generally the people asking the questions want sort of buffs or changes to something they have on their own personal character and not really looking at the overview of the entire game, which Blizzard has to do. They have to take the picture of everything, not just whether or not you're happy that Enchanting doesn't particularly have a great daily, you know, or any daily whatsoever. They're not too bothered about that. Yeah, they want everybody to be happy, sure, but they have to devote time to the overall picture, especially with the new expansion. So, item and Q&A panel was yesterday. Again, it's a little bit biased. The main one for me was, will we get an 11th character slot, because we're going to have an 11th race. As you know, I have 10 characters on. I have 10 characters. That's every class, and I have no more slots to fill. I could do with an 11th, so I could maybe check out the Panda Monk for you guys, so I can check out. I have no problem playing a Panda. I think it looks quite funny, actually. I just certainly want, more from a mechanics point of view of an endgame raider. As I've said many times in the past, when I play my endgame character, my main focus character, such as my Death Knight, if suddenly trolls are the number one DPS, I'll happily roll troll. I don't particularly care. There's a million ways of changing what my character looks like in game. I don't particularly care too much. I use my alts to play cool characters. That's why I have an Undead Protection Warrior, because I just think it looks cool. That's just the be-all and end-all of it. So I'm hoping that we're getting an 11th character slot, or they're thinking of working some way in where you can have an 11th character on the same realm. That'd be fine for me, so I can keep all my characters as close together as possible. I've only got 2 on a different realm at the moment, but if anything should happen where I need to move more characters either way, I would certainly like to get back to a stage where I have all characters on one realm. That's absolutely fine. They were talking about different resources. Are we going to modify resources? Blizzard's answer was that is, look, we're changing everything 4.3 talents-wise, so don't worry about it too much. There was a lot of complaints about Death Knight tanks. They're saying they're going to fix that in 4.3. I hope so. My Death Knight tank is feeling really sorry for himself. I tanked Zul'Aman Heroic on my Prot Warrior, who has barely enough gear to get through the door, and he survives so much easier than my 391 geared Death Knight does, and that's just sad. It's just so sad. So I'm hoping they fix that up. Everything else was a little bit, archaeology's boring. We know archaeology was fail. It was fail, guys. You guys know that. A lot of requests for legendaries. Definitely people asking for legendaries for their own class. And they're just going to pick and choose as and when. One idea that did seem to pop up that seemed to be quite exciting was a legendary for Horde and a legendary for Alliance that could stand out. So you might have a giant hammer for the Horde or a giant shield for the Alliance, something with the big Alliance logo on it that was a legendary item that could lead this charge into 4.3. To be honest, some of the answers, the developers got definitely excited when somebody suggested something that they thought was quite cool. And they kind of gave vague answers. Now, that bothers me a little touch. Maybe I'm just being pessimistic. Have they really decided how this... I mean, you have to assume they have. Blizzard is so meticulous in how they play out their expansions. They have a very set strategy and plan. Anybody who's tracked World of Warcraft for a long time will know that every expansion for World of Warcraft was actually planned at the release of World of Warcraft. They had a definite mind of where they wanted to be in 7-8 years should the game continue, and they've pretty much stuck to that. Bang on the money. We've seen those expansions as and when they said they would come. But there seems to be a lot of vague answers here. Yeah, we might do that, we might do this. Okay, so let's hope you've got it fully planned out, guys, and you're just thinking about extra cool things you could drop in. That's fine, no problem with that. Other than that, that was it pretty much yesterday. We had the art panel showing some very, very detailed conceptual art. They brought up that the pandas have 10 times more animation quality than any other of the races in the game, so they should be looking very cool. That is to be expected, really, as graphics improve and the years go by. We expect improvements like that. Nothing to be too excited about other than that it's expected. When I say excitement, you must bear in mind that some things are expected with expansion. We are expecting new zones. We're expecting a level cap rise. We're expecting some new spells. That is expected stuff. It's nothing to be over the moon by. We don't go crazy because we're going to get a new spell. It's expected. That's part of the expansion. We're looking for the really cool stuff. So far, that's a little bit lacking, but I'm still excited to try Pandera. I think it could be really good. I think Blizzard has good intentions, and they're just saying, please ride out this little bit of a storm with us so we can get involved and show you the game as we've managed to make it designed. Again, we'll have to wait and see. We don't know enough. None of us know enough. We know exactly what Blizzard has told us. I'm bringing that to you today, guys. So anything that Blizzard's told us what we know, we could do with knowing a little bit more. Hopefully Day 3 is going to reveal that for us. That's our Day 2 recap, guys. Take it easy. Goodbye.